Before the pandemic and during the pandemic, the teacher griping about disengaged, distracted students didn't change his beat. And there doesn't seem to be any change happening in his grumble even after the pandemic. Nothing new in it, right? Please don't blame the poor virus as if the students were really engaged in learning before we started sniffing this virus. It's as simple as pimple. The teachers who couldn't engage students in person couldn't engage them online, period. And they wouldn't engage them even when students trudge back for in-person learning after the pandemic. At least that's what I predict. Unless they start practicing and implementing the principles of effective teaching and learning pedagogies. Technology can only help accentuate the impact of those pedagogies. The overarching principle of maximizing learning with technology is to engage as many of the 5 human sensory perceptions as possible. The more senses you can engage, the better the internalization of new knowledge. When you execute a stand and deliver lecture, by and large, you employ only the auditory perceptions of your students. Unless you're Lincoln, Churchill, or Martin Luther King, who could evoke extraordinary emotions through piercing, penetrating words. When you add video to your lessons, you are now adding visual perception to the learning receptors. That's one additional human sense now employed. If you make your lesson a hands-on project, you are employing the tactile perception too. Now you are pushing the envelope. But here's the problem. With the current state of instructional technology, you can add the remaining 3 of the 5 human senses, that is, taste, touch, and smell, only if you are teaching in person. So 3 of the 5 human senses are begrudgingly absent from remote teaching. So what do we do? The answer? We must scamper around to find technologies that can substitute the 3 lacking human senses at this evil hour of the pandemic to patch these perception holes in our remote teaching. That's where virtual reality or VR technology enters our teaching scene. VR technology has evolved exponentially over the last 1.5 years. This technology isolates the users who have the attention spans of a goldfish from a whole host of distractions in their surroundings and whisks them to the la la lands of virtual worlds that mimic the ideal environments for whatever the topics of learning. Once in their computer-generated virtual worlds, the users are now fully immersed in these make-believe environments, the blinders of VR headsets strapped around their heads, eyes to the front, free of almost all distractions. These immersive environments are the closest virtual representations for evoking the tactile perceptions in users, tacked on top of their auditory and visual perceptions. One could almost feel and touch the life-size objects in their field of view in these virtual environments with the latest handheld appendages or joysticks that go with these headsets. Like the one bundled with Oculus VR devices, the ones from Facebook. Now we have entered the fascinating world of 3D learning away from the linear 2-dimensional world of books and Chromebooks. The latest evolution in VR hardware and graphics technology has resulted in much improved user experiences and ergonomics for longer durations at a time. Now, the hardware and the headsets that are in the market make it easier to immerse users in VR experiences for longer and for better. Yet, I would recommend limiting the use of VR headsets to no more than 20 minutes at a time. 20 minutes are sufficient to be immersed in an experience before you take a break. Such immersion can really incite strong physical and emotional reactions in users. VR technology is now being used to evoke empathy in social emotional learning by virtually transporting people to disaster zones and war zones. They feel like walking among the ruins and the devastations of armed conflicts, man made famines, and see the wrath of natural disasters firsthand, almost firsthand. VR technology can also be used very effectively in the teaching of medical and engineering subjects. Students can interact with the 3D models of their subjects as if they are right there. They can virtually touch the anatomical parts of a human body, an animal, or an organism. They can observe the details of nuclei splitting in a nuclear reactor or marvel at the pistons of a car engine heaving burning puffs of carbon ash. They can saunter around the mountains and the valleys of the planets far, far away without gasping for oxygen. The high-resolution imagery of the newest 4K or 8K cameras has made it possible to have such microscopic and celestial experiences, in some cases better than even being there in person. In spite of all these mind-cracking advances, I will not recommend VR technology for very young children in its current hardware offerings. It could alter the natural human perception faculties in very young children with consequences that are not yet determined. Most VR instruction is better suited for children 12 years of age and above. That makes it suitable for middle school, high school, and college education. Still, in all cases, VR technology is only recommended as sort of a health supplement to the whole and hearty meal of in-person teaching, and not as a meal replacement. Since there are elements of human interaction, the stares, the cares, the nudging, the high fives, the whole spectrum of language of looks and figure that cannot be substituted in a virtual environment. VR technology is to be used when in-person teaching is either not possible or when it has reached its outer orbit. The most frugal use of VR technology? Virtual field trips and leafing through primary sources and documents firsthand. Again, sort of firsthand for language arts and social studies classes. It can transport your students to land so foreign that it will break the backs of camels halfway through getting there in person or beat up the school budget down to a whimper. And all that in life size, walkable, touchable. This makes VR technology the next best thing to being there. It even allows for live guided tours in which people could interact with other people in other parts of the world in real time. Right through the eyes of camera, as if you were right there. Platforms like Engage VR allow us to hold live meetings and conferences with all the courtesies and mannerisms of in-person meetings. You go around hello-hiing people as if you're standing right next to them. You can see them in their virtual selves through their avatars while talking to them in real time through your VR headsets. In short, VR technology has already come light years from its earliest expensive, clunky reminiscence of Oculus Rift with its tangling wires and large, jumbo-sized computers that one would need to draw a pension loan for. Now, VR technology is cheaper, sleeker, and more lifelike. Like they say, reality is nothing but an illusion, a perception of what our gullible brains perceive. Your brain inside a VR headset tells you it's real, and that's all that matters, to put your adult illusionary skepticism to rest. We all know Iron Man, Batman, Superman are nothing but CGI illusions, yet we willfully fall for them and gleefully tell others about them. You sure are going to find this technology a game changer for pouring in the knowledge and information right into the brains of your most distracted students through the fine funnels of VR technology. Try it out today for yourself first and then with your students. You can also go to keynote180.com, keynote180.com to learn more or to schedule an online or in-person training for effective use of VR technology, along with a whole host of topics in online teaching and learning with me or with my staff for your faculty members. We can schedule a half day or full day in service remotely or come to your institution in person. You can call us, text us, WhatsApp us, email us, whichever way you like to communicate at the contact information under this video. Until then, bye-bye.